A stripped-down experimental portrait of cruelty, victimhood, and the commodification of suffering. A work that blurs the line between performer and reality, inviting its audience to validate the protagonist's pain and find catharsis in her violent retribution. I'm referring, of course, to the TikTok soap opera, Shauna the Mom. We'll come back to Dogville later. With its roots as early as 2020, Shauna Lander's wildly popular internet series had gained her 1 million subscribers as of September 2024 and still growing. She has a vast, sprawling cast of characters. There's the narcissistic mother-in-law, Barb, the adoring husband, John, and the mean girl, Julie. The characters and scenarios are very simple, probably necessarily so due to the fast-paced nature of TikTok as a platform. Characters are pretty much all good or all bad, with a notable exception of sister-in-law Jennifer, who recently had a redemption arc when motherhood and a new boyfriend taught her that Shauna is cool, actually.
She's a mom. So I don't know any other moms. Oh, so you're using her. No, she's kind of cool.
And the eponymous main character, Shauna, the chipper, eager mom in desperate search for community and friendship, is at the center of it all. I'm Marza. I love a stupid, unhinged deep dive, and if you are interested in the intersection of internet pop culture and art, society, and culture more broadly, you should subscribe. Today, we will be discussing two artistic works, Shauna the Mom and Lars von Trier's 2003 experimental art drama, Dogville. Now I know, on the surface these things seem completely unrelated, but they actually deal in very similar themes. Difference is how they ask us to relate to those themes. So what do these pieces each have to say about victimhood and morality? And moreover, what can they teach us about our changing relationship to fiction in the digital age? A quick disclaimer: in this section, I will briefly discuss themes of abuse, but I will not go into any detail. Also spoilers for Dogville and technically spoilers for Threepenny Opera, but I don't think anybody really cares about that. If you haven't seen Dogville, I highly recommend it, with a very, very, very strong caveat for triggering material, themes of abuse, violence, assault. It's a Lars von Trier movie, like you already know.
What can I say? I understand Hitler. I think he did some wrong things, yes, absolutely. But I can see him sitting in his bunker in the end.
It has Nicole Kidman at her absolute shining best. It has a stacked cast: Lauren Bacall, Chloe Sevigny, Patricia Clarkson. And it also produced one of my favorite press tour moments of all time.
I don't sympathize with any of the... Nicole, don't do that, you promised.
Nicole, you promised.
No.
In brief, the story of Dogville takes place in a tiny fictional American town somewhere around the 1930s. Grace, played by Nicole Kidman, is fleeing from the mafia and arrives in town seeking asylum. The town agrees to let her remain in exchange for her labor, despite the fact that it seems like nobody really needs any labor done. Over time, as her desperation and dependence on the town increases, so too does her exploitation at the hands of the townspeople, until eventually they just turn her back over to the mafia. But, to the town's surprise, spoilers for a 20-year-old movie, Grace is none other than the daughter of the powerful mafia boss. Dun dun dun! So, with her new mob accomplices, she annihilates everyone in town and leaves none spared but the dog. Dogville refuses to let you forget that you are watching a movie, a piece of fiction. There's virtually no set. It's just a bare soundstage with chalk outline. You are always aware that this is artificial. This is what playwright Bertolt Brecht referred to as alienation. And if you went to theater school, you already know where this is going. I dropped out, but I stayed long enough for this part. It's a way to keep the audience thinking instead of just feeling. Dogville is explicitly Brechtian, not only in its visual language, but also in its literal plot similarities to the song Pirate Jenny from Threepenny Opera. Brecht's intent, and likely von Trier's, is to create a sense of distance from one's own emotions. By rejecting the passive, immersive experience of watching a melodrama, it seeks to inspire real-world political and social engagement. So, with Grace's final act of vengeance, we don't get the emotional catharsis that we might expect, even crave. We're thinking. And yeah, perhaps we're feeling, but we're not feeling good. And this brings us back to Shauna the mom. Let's take a minute and talk about me. I had been a casual viewer. It would sometimes show up on my For You page. Honestly, in the beginning, I thought that it was like a life coach or a counselor, and they were making little skits to teach people about mental health and boundaries and narcissism and that kind of thing. That's a whole cottage industry. We've all seen those before. But then over time, I realized that it was actually a story. There was a little bit of a plot. There were major recurring characters. This was some kind of a drama. Her audience is very loyal and very enthusiastic. People will make little mini vlogs and reaction videos talking about the characters and speculating about what's going to happen next. Before I get too deep into criticism, I want to say that this is very clearly a very supportive place for moms who are feeling isolated, for women who are dealing with family systems with poor boundaries, and it's a place where they can come together and discuss things that are important to them through the lens of a fictional story. And I think that that's really valuable and really good. But for me, I will be so honest with you, I did not get it. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I wasn't exactly hate watching, but I was confused. To me, the central character, Shauna, seemed deeply flawed and complicated in really pretty interesting ways. Yet the narrative always framed her as the victim. A great example of this is the storyline with Shauna and Julie. So Julie is like a quintessential mean girl. She's kind of standoffish at first, and then eventually she's outright rude. Not a nice lady. But despite sending these very clear signals that she is not interested in being friends with Shauna, Shauna just keeps trying to make her be her friend. And that is really pretty interesting as a character flaw. But comment after comment was like, fuck Julie, Julie's the worst, Shauna is our perfect baby angel who's never done anything wrong, and you owe her friendship for being nice to you. In the eyes of the narrative, Shauna never does anything bad. Bad things only ever happen to her. But the idea of pointing that out felt kind of mean. First of all, she has clearly gotten the victim criticism in the past, and she has made several sketches mocking that premise.
Everyone wants to be happy, especially in motherhood. I see a lot of playing victim. I see a lot of women lacking support. Man, this is really tough. I wish I had more support. Maybe you would have more support if you played victim less often and were more accepting about how other people want to show up for you and your child. So what I was saying is that I wish I had more support because this is a difficult season of life. What you're saying is that I should accept boundary crossing and potentially even toxic behavior because I want support. And those are two very different things.
So that clearly gets to her as a person and as a creator, but it also really felt like Shauna the mom kind of sort of was Shauna the person. I mean, just look at her bio. Shauna Lander, actress, writer, mama. I kept trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I'm not a mom. I am not the target demographic. I don't particularly like this kind of content. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm just not getting it. And then she posted this video.
Hey, Julie.
Do I know you?
Don't worry about who I am. Listen, I heard you were talking shit to my friend Shauna.
Who?
Don't play with me. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Okay, what is this?
Shauna is nice to everyone and deserves to be spoken to with respect.
Excuse me?
Excuse you? Excuse you? Excuse this, bitch. 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 Bitch.
Yikes, guys. So Shauna's audience, represented by this other very popular creator, Sujia, are fantasizing about calling Julie a bitch and then violently assaulting her. Cool. Then Shauna, maybe the person, maybe the character, wakes up from her dream. So no, it's not canon. Don't worry. Nobody actually confronted Julie. But oof, doesn't that violent catharsis feel good? Shauna and her audience have created a space where it is safe to yearn for physical violence and retribution that they can rest assured is morally justified. This is a major recurring theme in the series. While there's not usually violence or adult language, there are pretty frequently these big, epic, angry monologues where someone is put in their place. Most often, it's one of our beloved hero men, angrily monologuing at one of the evil villain women in defense of our perfect angel, Shauna.
Like she takes everything like a personal attack. So stop attacking her. John! Jennifer, this is her house. Those are her children. You are a guest, and you are a guest because she allows it, because she puts up with it.
If someone in my real life ever spoke like that, we would be having a very serious conversation. That man sounds abusive. That freaks me the fuck out. And every time I will scour the comments looking for people who agree with me, and time after time, nothing. Or at least, nothing that Shauna has interacted with or positively commented on. Granted, a lot of the times, these very much have the flavor of like fan fiction or like that monologue you do in your head in the shower after a fight where you're like, this is what I really would have said. I would have got him.
Oh, what are you doing? I'm wiping you down. Stop, please. Oh, you're drenched in perfume again. Remember the baby smelled like perfume for 2 whole days the last time you came? And I told you I'd have to wipe you down if you came over drenched in perfume again? I assumed you were exaggerating, making little jokes. Oh, you didn't take me seriously? I'm so sorry.
And then everyone clapped. And another thing, Shauna is also extremely passive-aggressive. She's lauded in the comments for healthy boundary setting, but healthy boundaries are clearly communicated and held, not implied and coerced. But that's the thing, right? I don't know how I'm supposed to engage with this content, right? I know I'm allowed to criticize the obviously villainous characters. That's encouraged, that's rewarded. But if I point out perceived flaws in the story or in characters like John, or God forbid, in Shauna, it just really feels like I'm criticizing a person, not Shauna the writer, not Shauna the actress, Shauna the mama. And if I'm really honest, I do wonder if that is by design. It is a very protective device against personal scrutiny and criticism. Like in Dogville, the Shawnaverse doesn't invite its audience merely to watch. But where Dogville forces us to self-reflect, Shauna gives us permission to not only feel, but to feel morally justified and right. And then carry that torch onwards by engaging and validating in comment sections and reaction videos. Dogville forces us to confront our complicity. Shauna encourages our complicity. Our complicity is part of the content. Let's take a step back and talk about TikTok. As a platform, TikTok thrives on content that delivers quick, strong emotional reactions and incentivize engagement. It has to be easy to understand immediately, so it's no fault of Shauna's or other short-form creators when they lose a little nuance. As algorithms dominate our media landscape, it's natural that things that elicit a strong emotional response are going to be more successful, easier to find than things that challenge us. Shauna Lander, the writer and actress, understands this. The storytelling that she delivers is optimized for delicious, morally righteous dopamine hits. For what it's worth, she has absolutely cracked the algorithm and figured out how to make something that people really love and love to share and love to connect over. Yet on that platform, there is one comment in her comment sections that is on every single video, I guarantee it. Get this lady a show. Where's your show? I wish this was on TV. And I'm a fucking snob, so my gut reaction was, girl, what the fuck would that be? What would the show be? What are you talking about? Then I remembered the horrifying to me rise of microdramas on platforms like Real Short. You've seen them, things like My Billionaire Boyfriend or The Werewolf Next Door or whatever the fuck. I had actually considered trying to audition for some of these projects to like get a sense of what they're like to work on, but guess what? They're all fucking non-union. So when you watch those things, just know they're not fucking paying their actors. It's content that their own creators will gladly describe as the fast food of entertainment. They know what they're making, and they are raking in the cash with their dopamine-addled, addictive content style. So yeah, damn girl, maybe it's a show. It's better than that. I'm sorry, I'm bitter. In this case, I'm not bitter about Shauna. I'm bitter about the state of the entertainment industry. So I'm projecting. Sorry, girl. Dogville and works like it cannot possibly do what Shauna does, let alone what the microdramas can do. Sitting in slow, off-putting discomfort does not appeal to any algorithms. But I also have to acknowledge that the prestige market doesn't exactly cater to women. The interior lives of adult women, and perhaps in particular moms, are not of great interest to most of our most lauded auteurs. And even when they are, they will frequently traverse the brutal and triggering themes that we find in Dogville. And for the record, often much less deftly. So it's only natural that we as women would try to fill the void with something. Unfortunately, studios and producers are learning that low budget, low effort slop about billionaires and evil mothers-in-law is going to placate a desperate demographic enough to get their cash. And I think we deserve better than that. I have to go get Larry. Bear, come in here. Stop scrambling around. No, 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 no. I'm gonna kill that dog. He's just mad because someone took his bone.
He's just angry because someone took his bone.
Anyway, when I think of my media diet now versus 5, 10, 15 years ago, there is one steady change, and that is the rise of first-person nonfiction narrative content, vlogs, story times, video essays. I consume content like this now daily, pretty much. As a teenager, I would occasionally watch documentaries or like read somebody's live journal, but for the most part, I consumed fiction, books, movies, TV shows, music. I think we talk a lot about how social media has changed our social lives and our relationship to our own self-esteem, but I'm most interested in the way it's changed our relationship to art and metaphor. People talk a lot about like the media literacy crisis, and I have conflicted feelings about it. Fictional stories appearing on the same platform as we're watching like traumatic story times and dog videos and hoof scraping content is jarring. But at the same time, there is an expectation that our nonfiction stories will be crafted in a way that is as gripping and as compelling as fiction. So naturally, people embellish and edit their nonfiction stories, and like, well, it all starts to get a little muddy, right? Maybe the thing that I most sincerely appreciate about Shawna's content is it illustrates a clear hunger for fiction and stories, even on platforms that don't prioritize them. So at the end of the day, why does Shauna the mom piss me off so much? It doesn't really piss me off, but I don't know. It triggers me, I guess. Why does it make me feel so uncomfortable? Why is it ironically making me self-reflect and write lengthy think pieces that nobody asked for? I think I just felt sort of manipulated. I felt like I was trapped in a moral framework and I had no option but to root for the main character, even if I disagreed with her, for fear of offending the creator, Shauna. It created this emotional ecosystem in which my opinions weren't just unwelcome, they were almost kind of impossible. But that's really not just about Shauna. It's about a cultural shift in the way that we engage with stories. It scares me that this shift seems to be driven more by technology than by creators. Even more insidiously, it's driven by the people who stand to financially benefit from that technology. And those motherfuckers do not give one single fuck about art or culture or stories, or humanity for that matter. I'm a little heated. Are we letting someone else's bottom line dictate whether or not we can be challenged? In the face of difficult, painful times, are we trading growth for affirmation? I know, I recognize that asking creators to confront the seemingly immovable wall that is algorithmically driven content is a big ask, shall we say? It's not easy, and I certainly don't have all the answers, but art can and should confront harmful systems, and make no mistake, algorithms and the capitalists who create them are harmful. Brecht had a philosophy. It was intentionally and consciously created to disrupt his era's status quo. For better or worse, popular culture doesn't take place in person in theaters anymore. It takes place online. How will we, as creators and as audience members, take back our creative agency? What will our philosophy be? I'm returning to YouTube after a really long time, so your likes, your comments, your shares all mean so much to me right now. I will be making videos once a week for the foreseeable future until I burn out, so give me a follow. Who's a good girl?